Hello there, students. So, welcome back. This would have been another in-class, just sort of group thought thing, but, but of course, COVID happened. So anyway, I'm just going to go through this. So, what are system development life cycles, or software development life cycles, as this part likes to call it, although it's system development life cycles over here. And of course, people say, like, what are the 7 stages, 5 stages, blah, blah, blah. All of this is wrong, okay? Let's just say, because there's not one system or one process for everything, okay? So basically, system development life cycles or software development life cycles or just SDLC are just the steps you take to make something, okay? And what type of process you make is going to depend on what the criteria is and what you're making. So this whole, like, 7 phases, 5 stages, that's all a bunch of bullcrap, okay? Because those are individualized for specific situations. So I'm just going to go and say the easiest one that everyone has heard of. So who here remembers writing essays? You write an essay, and what do you do first? You brainstorm. And then what was that after you brainstormed? You made your rough draft. Then after you made your rough draft, you went in and you did edits. And then you did the edits, and then you had the final draft, okay? There was like 4 steps, maybe 5. But that was one step after another after another. When you got to, the final draft, did you ever go back and brainstorm? No. You never went backwards. That's what's known as the Waterfall Model, okay? So, if we just go to images here, it's, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6. So if you're doing a process that does not require, anything to go backwards, I mean, there are a few that show this, and they're different, slightly different. But the basic classic waterfall model is just step 1, step 1's done, move on to step 2. Step 2 done. Step 3, because step 2's done. Step 3's done, move on to step 4. Step 4's done, move on to step 5. Step 5's done, move on to step 6, 7, 8, 9, however many steps there are. This is the classic, basic, one step at a time model of doing something. Now, obviously, some of the advantages of this are, well, it's easy to understand. And if you ever go and wonder, what am I supposed to be doing right now on this project? Oh, I'm on this step. That's what I'm doing. So on and so forth. Now, that's one of the benefits. One of the downsides is, though, hey, what happens if we get to, like, system deployment, and then we realize, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, we have made a terrible, terrible error all the way back in our requirement analysis. We did not analyze this properly at all. Well, if you're a multi-million-dollar company and you've done design, implementation, and testing, you've probably spent months and months and a lot of money and a lot of hours and a lot of personnel doing all this. So this process might not be the best one for you. In that case, maybe you want something like your phone apps. Tell me, does your phone app ever go and say, hey, we've implemented this, boom, it's done, and there's never any other updates ever again? Of course not. Those things update weekly, daily even. That is what is known as the spiral model. Okay? So, I'm going to pick this graph, because this graph is clearly the easiest to look at, because the other ones have way too many lines and all that. But basically iterations. Every single time we hit this bottom line, we're at a new iteration. We're at a new update. So, we have ourselves, basically determine your objectives, identify it, produce it, and then review it. What are we going to do next? Let's do it. Let's produce it. Okay, now what happened? So on and so forth. Build, determine what you want to do, use it, build it, review. It's just the same 4 things over and over and over again. Hey, we're going to build this app for a phone. Okay, let's go and build it. Okay, it's been built now. What do we need to do to make the next one better? Okay, let's do it. Oh, hey, now we shipped it out. Okay, what happened? Were there any errors? Okay, let's go and build some more stuff. Let's make some more updates. Okay, ship it out. You know, and the reason why those apps do that is because their model of engagement, they need you to be constantly reminded that that app exists. Because what happens if you forget about that app? There's no more updates? Oh, it gets deleted, it goes away. They're not going to build one product and then never give it to you again, never have an update. Their business model is different. How they get ads and revenue and all that is different. Now, also, imagine that this green line that's spiraling around is time and money. So eventually, it's going to get very, very, very expensive to keep making stuff over and over and over again to fix things. Because eventually, as Microsoft and Apple found out, at some point, there is some technology that is just so old, it's not worth having backwards compatibility for it. And that's where randomly, what do you mean my version of Word no longer works on my computer? Oh yeah, we just got rid of all the PowerPC implementation. It's done. No one makes PowerPC architecture anymore. We're not going to update it. You have to now get the new version of Excel and Microsoft and Office and all that sort of fun stuff. Well, sometimes that happens. Sometimes you have to eventually say, it's too expensive doing Spiral, we have to stop. And we're going to go and make a new product. And that new product goes through either another Spiral or another SDLC or a different type of SDLC process as well. So, it's based on what it is you need to do. If you need to make something quick and easy, well, Spiral's quick and easy. If you need something that's going to be very cheap, yeah, eventually this is not going to get cheap. You know? But if you need something, this is much more easier to go, wait a minute, we have a problem. Let's go and fix the problem. It's part of the 4 steps here. So, everything goes like that. Now, what about if you have no idea what it is you're going to make? You don't know who your audience is, you don't know what you're building, what you're designing. What are you going to make? Well, that's what we call the Big Bang. Now, the Big Bang is, wow, I hate all the way these look. I hate all of the way these look. This one's probably the closest. Basically, imagine if you go, hey guys, we don't know what we're going to make. We're going to just design something. Everyone go and brainstorm. Well, imagine each and every one of these points is a different idea. And here's idea 1, idea 2, idea 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever. And, you know, there will be times in life where you're just said, like, by your superiors or your boss or whatever, or even if you're just designing something for fun. What do I want to make? I have no idea. And you wind up making little tiny bits of everything. So, eventually, at some point in time, via time, efforts, and resources, because you can't just brainstorm forever, you're just going to be spending time on giving money to employees and, you know, paying them and keeping the lights on and paying bills and all that sort of stuff. And at some point you're going to need to produce some sort of product. So, at some point, you come together, and that's probably what this one's trying to show with the come together part, but it kind of just says software instead. The come together is basically, okay, what did everyone do? Oh, well, I like this point and this point and that point. Let's make a product out of it. Boom, make it into software. Or this point and this point work really well together as well. But, you know, we'll keep that on the back burner. We're going to use that for something else. Oh, this one idea is really good. Let's just build this out into something new entirely. We now have a new project going on our hands. So you can wind up with like 4, 5, 6, 7 different things that, you know, you decide, hey, these are good ideas, let's work on them. You know, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're all going to get worked on at the same time. You know, they might be on the back burner. You know, anyone who looks up into the history of how Nintendo makes different games will know that they have ideas that are 20 years in development before they finally have the time and go, okay, now the technology exists, we're going to do this. They wanted to make the 3DS like 20 years ago before they did that. So on and so forth. And this one right here is not the Big Bang, but it's the Agile model. So the Agile model is kind of a mix of the spiral and the Waterfall model together. So you get, planning, designing, building, testing, until eventually you're happy with it. It'll keep going around a circle over and over and over again until you're happy with it. Then you move on to step 2. And it'll keep going on around this circle until you're happy with it. Move on to step 3. So on, so on, and so forth. Obviously, this one is probably the most accurate as far as, making sure that nothing is broken or buggy or anything like that. But obviously, with all these steps before iteration, you have all the cost, time, and money issues of spiral, but you're doing spiral in multiple steps. So basically imagine like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spirals in a row. Obviously, this one's probably going to be very expensive. There's all pluses and negatives to it. Much like the 6 thinking hats, which I'll get into in another video, there's positives and negatives to what choices you make. And what you decide upon is what you want. Now, these are not the only models out there, obviously. There's V model, which is, goes down and then point, like midpoint folding. You'll see this a lot in books, which anyone who does writing has heard of the midpoint death or the midpoint folding, where, scene 1, the vampire house is on a dark, gloomy night and lightning strikes it. How is that movie going to end? Clearly it's ending with, the sun rising, and it's nice and pretty and happy, there's no storm. They mirror each other. And that's what this sort of is. It mirrors itself with a defined middle point as the breaking where it starts to mirror. There's other models as well, and I already went over Agile, but trust me, there's even more than these 5, okay? There is many, many, many more types of models that you can go with, as obviously we can see all throughout all these different things. So, I'm not going to quiz you on all these. This is honestly, the fish model. What is this? But I will be giving you guys links. So, yes, these guys where you can go and look through this, and there will be questions on this sort of stuff, because this goes into how, processes are built, and I need you to know that type of background information for when we get into coding. But I want you guys to just know this, generally. I'll have some links for you to click on in Moodle, and you'll be able to read the pages, and there'll be descriptions of what each model is in more accurate detail than what I can in a 20-minute video. But, so yeah, just know that this is what we're going into. This is sort of stuff that, even if you don't go into coding, knowing what type of processes you would need to do in order to make a project, whether it's buying a house or a car or looking into, what should I, do with this, free time that I have? What can I be doing with it? It's all a matter of pluses and negatives, positives and, detractions. Everything that we have is a choice, and how we define where we need to do. Has anyone tried to do any housework? How difficult is it when you don't know what the steps are? Yeah, it's difficult. So let's just, understand how to think, which is a bizarre concept in itself, I know. But if you are able to break down processes into steps, it doesn't matter what you're doing. As long as you understand, okay, here are the steps involved that I need to do, then you'll be able to do it, even if you've never done it before. Going out there and doing something, having no idea what you're doing, is not a good solution. Going into something, understanding, okay, I may not have ever done this before, but I can find my way through it, then that's good. It's not about memorization, it's about finding the solution. If you know how to find a solution, you're good. Thank you very much. See you in the next video.